Hi, there's been some updates to the friend situation for me. My video that got the most views recently was the one about having no friends in my 50s, and I'm starting to feel now that I do have some friends again. And I wanted to let you know how that changed, why it changed, and what happened to shift the situation more in the direction of actually having friends again. So I'm pretty excited to have the feeling of having specifically some female friends in my life again, because of course I have my husband. I definitely do appreciate him, but having been through a severe illness that he went through, he's tired a lot and he only has a certain number of spoons of energy per day. And there's times when I do want someone like an adult to talk to, and he's not available because he needs to be resting and such. And when he is available, I do appreciate it. And we have a lot of good moments together, but there are moments where, you know, I feel lonely and I feel the need to talk to a friend who knows me and knows my situation and cares, and who I care about as well. Especially in times like these days, recent days, we need community. You know, even if we're introverts and shy like myself, we still need other people in our lives. And have you ever seen or heard about the blue zones? There are these areas in the world where people live longer, healthier, more productive lives. And not only do they tend to live longer lives, but they're more independent. Or by independent, I don't mean that they don't have other people, but that they don't have to rely on others to care for them and take them places and do tasks. And, you know, they're capable of just taking care of themselves and doing what needs to be done well into their old age. Well, that's these blue zones, these areas in the world. One of the things that they all seem to have in common is this sense of community. People that they care about, friendships, you know, people they care about and who care about them and who they can spend time with and share activities with, you know, hobbies, common interests, what have you. And so I've done some reading on aging as well, some reading and studying on it. And it seems to be true that having friends, having people in your life outside of your immediate family circle is a healthy thing. And, you know, I have some ambivalence about it because I'm pretty happy. I got pretty comfortable with just being on my own, if you will, or just spending a lot of time on my own with the dogs and just occupying myself with activities and hobbies and reading. And, you know, I could do a video on that, just how to be happy and content on your own with no friends. And maybe I will do a video on that because I've spent a lot of time in that mode. And I am comfortable in that mode. I'm comfortable living that lifestyle. But even though it's getting out of my comfort zone a little, I do want to be able to have community and have that sense of friendship in my life, because I just think it is ultimately healthier. And I want to make healthy lifestyle choices in my 50s and beyond. So I want to share with you in this video the ways things have shifted and why I think they've shifted and how I made that happen, or what caused the shift in a positive direction towards having friends. And so stay tuned to this video and I'll share all that with you. But yeah, so why do I feel like I went from having no friends to having friends? Well, I've gone for kind of a couple years without really having friends reaching out or, you know, consistently. Some of that's my fault because I guess I did lose my phone for one thing, and I lost all my contacts when I changed phones. There were some times where I tried to text people who I had somewhat been friends with and they didn't get back to me, or I thought they didn't, or I got a random text but I didn't realize it was them because I had lost their contact information, so I just thought it was like a random spam text. Well, she had texted me back and I finally realized that it was her, and all this happened over a period of several months. And so then I texted her again and put her contact info back in my phone. And she said, I'll be in Vegas. She doesn't live in Vegas. She lives in LA, but she said, I'll be in town in a couple weeks. And so she was like one of the first ones, I guess, to get back to me. And she did come back and we hung out and it was really good. It was fun. You know, we had a good time. We had dinner. She hung out with the family for a while. She hung out all day at my house. And I do appreciate that because I really don't like going out anymore. I'm not an out on the town person. I can't really afford it. is probably the main reason. B, it's like driving in a lot of traffic all the time isn't fun. It's like a few years ago, one of the last times she was here, I went to visit her at her hotel room, and we hung out and we were like on our laptops writing and stuff. Like, we nerd out. That's what we do. I was driving home on the strip that night. I think it was a weekend night, and I probably didn't drink at all, because if I did, it was very little, like less than a whole drink even. And then I would wait until that was all out of my system before I even got behind the wheel. But most likely I didn't even drink, I don't think. And was driving home on the freeway on the I-15 going south, and a wrong way driver started driving towards me. I was like in one of the right-hand lanes, and they got on the exit, and a bunch of cars were in front of me, like for maybe 2 blocks in front of me, were like swerving out of the way, and I saw it in time to swerve out of the way. And so it wasn't really a close call, but it was kind of one of those things where it was like it could have been. It was close enough that it was not good, and made me realize, like, as much as I enjoyed seeing her, I don't really like going places, especially on weekends, which is when people want to go out. I don't like having someone take me, out on the town on their dime, or expecting someone else to pay for it, what I don't have the budget for. And so if someone's willing to come and hang around with me just to hang out with me at my house, that makes me feel like they are a friend and they actually enjoy my company and they just want to spend time with me, and that makes me feel good. And anyway, she did, even after my husband got tired and went to bed pretty early, because he always does. And she stayed with me for a few more hours after that, and we watched like some YouTube videos together. I showed her Dodash, and I showed her Kashi Star. I showed her a few YouTubers that I enjoy watching. And yeah, we just like talked and had tea, and and then we just spent some quiet time together watching movies, and it was like really fun. We had thought about going to a yoga class, because that's how we met. We met in yoga teacher training several years ago in 2016, 2017, because the yoga teacher training went over a span of 2 years. So we thought about going to a yoga class, but we looked at some different studios, and there weren't any classes available, or they were only like really early in the morning, like at the Mysore studio, the Ashtanga people. And they do yoga really early in the morning, and she's kind of like me. She's more artistic and creative, and I think sometimes artsy people, creative people, tend to like to sleep in and not be early morning people for whatever reason. We just sort of hit our stride like in the afternoon and the evening time. So we ended up not going to a yoga class. She does a lot of really creative, fun things. Like, she goes to Burning Man every year, and I think she's part of a dance troupe, and they have like an art car, and they do fire dancing and belly dancing. She also belongs to a belly dance troupe in LA, and she's an Instagram model, so she travels a lot. So I say that because I guess personalities are kind of like why we connect with people, why we have like that puzzle piece with certain people that end up being friends if we're lucky. And if you're looking to find friends, or if you're missing your old friends, I guess just don't obsess, or don't like insist in your mind that it has to be with one specific person. Because yes, you might really feel good when you're with a certain person. You might really miss them, and you might think they're the only ones that can be a puzzle piece to your puzzle piece. But it's more like the whole world is a jigsaw puzzle, a big jigsaw puzzle that can never really be solved. But at various times in your life, you'll be able to fit your pieces with some other certain pieces, personalities, people. And that is kind of always going to be in flux too, and you just kind of have to accept that. And yeah, do yourself a favor and don't pine, and just try to allow the experience that comes in as it does. So yeah, I should probably try to give you like some guidelines and ideas on how to bring friendship about. And what I think caused this shift for me was being on YouTube, because some of the people that have reached out to me even mentioned that they saw that I was on YouTube again, or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly how they put it, but it was, oh, I see that you're doing YouTube again. Do you want to come and hang out with us? And I got invited to a girls' night, well, a women's night out. Actually, no, not night out, a women's night in, which again, I appreciate, because I don't really go out, and I don't really want to go out much. And the people were people that I knew from yoga, again, a different yoga studio here in Vegas that no longer exists, but that we sort of all knew each other, and I had spent time with each of them somewhat individually. We were sort of always on like the border of being acquaintances and friends. So like people that I had spent time with and enjoyed, but never really got super close with. One in particular that we even like drove out to Red Rocks and did a photo session together, like in our cute outfits. I don't know, they were kind of like cute yoga outfits, and we took pictures of each other with the fancy camera that I had at the time, which I actually sold in order to do my next teacher training. But yeah, we had a good time a few times together. I know everybody's busy, she's got her own thriving life and work and all, so it'll be good to catch up with all of them. But yeah, I think being on YouTube may have been the catalyst for all of these people that I haven't heard from reaching out to me. And now I have another friend who reached out recently within the past couple weeks, who I've known since I worked at a law firm, like I think 25 years ago or more, like when I was pregnant with my daughter. And she's just a really cool person. She's really intelligent and funny and fun to talk to. And I actually feel somewhat close with her because we've been texting every day, and we have a similar like perspective and outlook on life, and we're in a similar phase of life where we're both, you know, around the same age, and we have kids and who are adults, and we've dealt with, you know, the kids moving away and everything and starting their own lives. So it's nice to kind of be on the same page with someone my same age, and I appreciate the longevity of it as well. The fact that she still has my contact info. Somehow we still have each other in our phones, and we still remember each other and can talk. And I feel like I missed out though on a lot of like years of her life, and I feel like we have a lot of catching up to do, but at least we're in the phase where we can now. So how many people is that have come back? And then I've had a couple more reach out and want to connect or hang out, and I haven't even got back to them. So if you're watching this and I haven't got back to you yet, I'm sorry. I plan to get back to you soon. I've been busy. I've been trying to keep this YouTube channel, you know, active and consistent, posting consistently at least once a week. And the last video that I released was an hour and a half long. I edited it into 2 videos, so I split that up into 2 like 45-minute videos each, but the editing time was really intense. And yeah, I've been working on this channel, you know, pretty earnestly for a few months now, and the subscribers have been growing and the views have been growing. You know, sometimes it's just a little at a time. It's incremental, but it's still growth, and I appreciate having the opportunity to connect to people on here, which has been really nice. I've been connecting with a lot in the comments and hearing some people's stories, which has been really nice, and an honor and a privilege to hear that and to be able, you know, people trusting enough to share that kind of information on the channel, and good comments and interactions in the community comment section. So I think the channel is at about 520 subscribers as of today. So I've surpassed that first like monetization threshold, although I need more watch hours to get to the first level of monetization. I think I'm around 800 watch hours, and you need 3,000 in addition to the 500 subscribers. So, I mean, the watch hours are growing all the time too. And I just feel like as long as I keep making these little videos and depositing them, like making little deposits in an interest-bearing account, you know, eventually it'll compound, it'll come to fruition, and it'll be able to help. At this point, I'm doing it for the enjoyment of it, and I do enjoy making videos, and I feel like I've learned a lot. And I actually have a video on my channel about, you know, being on YouTube in your 50s and 60s and beyond. So if you're interested in that, I'll put a card or I'll put a link to it at the end. But I do think that having this YouTube channel and having the video where I just talk honestly about feeling like I have no friends and how hard that was, and how hard it is to make friends in your 50s, and how different it is from when you're young, and, you know, how it can be kind of painful when the dynamic changes from like people that you've been friends with your whole life and suddenly they're not available to you anymore. And those kind of things can be, I've been emotional today, so I'm tearing up a little. It can be kind of hard, but it's also exciting to experience change and to experience like new people coming in, because maybe you've learned what you're meant to learn from those people during that era. And it doesn't mean that there might not be a future time with them, but it's like you can't rely on that. You can't need that for your happiness. You have to be able to be happy and excited for whoever is available and whoever you happen to mesh with at the time, because maybe there's a reason why people come into your life in certain seasons. And I am excited to be reconnecting with some of these other people. I haven't really met anyone new. I've met some yoga students in my class that I teach who I would be interested in friendship with, but I feel like they're coming to me as someone to help them with their trauma and with their situation as a trauma-informed yoga instructor. They've been through some things and they need me more in like a professional capacity. And I think that ultimately I just need to keep them as people that I see once a week very professionally and keep that sort of professional distance in between me and the students, just because I think that ultimately helps them more than me becoming like close friends with them and, you know, being like their buddy. So I do think that being on YouTube may have contributed to the rise in people reaching out to me. I think it's highly likely. Now, I don't want to presume that everyone's watching my channel and all my friends have seen it. Maybe they haven't. I don't know. Maybe it was YouTube, maybe it wasn't. But I do think also that being on YouTube has a way of gathering your intention into one point of clarity, because you need to have some degree of clarity and intention to just like make a video on a topic and get all your points across and be able to discuss in depth something that matters to you. And having done that, maybe that put some clear vibrations into the universe and manifested some friendships for me. It's entirely possible that that's how it happened, that me stating that I'm interested in opening up to new friendship, me having that clarity and point of intention. So part of manifesting is gathering that strong point of clear intention in your mind, heart, spirit, aura, vibration. And then another part of it is taking action, taking a big action in the direction of what you would like to see. And one could say that having a YouTube channel and making a video with that point of clarity and intention in mind can in fact signal to the universe that you're ready to manifest something. And so even if they didn't see the video, maybe it was simply the act of finding that intention within that caused like a vibrational shift in the matrix of my world, my life. And you could do that too, either by making your own YouTube channel and making videos on your experience of friendship, or even, I think, possibly just as powerful would be to just meditate, you know, go into a real, earnest, deep meditation and even do that repeatedly, or pray, or do both, do praytations, you know, touching on those points and then going into deep, like divine silence within, doing breath work, doing whatever practice resonates with you that feels spiritual and like you're connecting to the divine might actually also work to bring people in your life, either new people or people that you haven't heard from in a while, but that maybe would suddenly reach out to you, like what's been happening to me. Yeah, it's been, after a long drought, it's been pretty shocking and surprising how many have actually reached out and wanted to hang out, wanted to talk. So another point that I wanted to mention for those of us who feel like we don't have friends, or feel like we've gone a long time with no friends and have some degree of loneliness in our experience, I wanted to mention that if something shifts in your vibrational field and you start to have people contacting you and reaching out to you again, or if there's a potential new person, I imagine it would be the same, that you might experience some degree of self-doubt and overthinking and kind of anxiety and worry around the possibility of hanging out with people again and spending time again. For me, part of it is kind of a guilt feeling because my husband is, kind of stuck at home after all he went through medically, he feels pretty lonely too, understandably, and I think that he would love to be invited to something like this women's night at my friend's house. My friend, potential friend, she is someone I've known for a long time, and I do believe all of these people to be good people and kind people and fun as well. So yeah, totally. But anyway, I think my husband would love to be invited, but I don't feel comfortable inviting him to this because it's a bunch of women getting together, and there is something to be said for like women together in community with no men sometimes. I told him that I don't plan to spend a lot of time going out with the gals without him, because I thought about how would I feel if the situation were reversed and I was the one who was post-cancer and stuck at home, and if he were going out to hang out with his guy friends without me like regularly, and I was in that boat, especially because after his illness, a lot of his friends, in fact, all of them basically fell off the face of the earth and stopped reaching out. And even if he were to contact them, they like wouldn't get back and stuff. So like, I do understand that it's been hard for him, and I don't want to make that worse by going out and getting my own jollies and having fun, or, you know, I mean, I don't think we do anything bad. We just hang out and chat and laugh a little, and he's not really missing that much, but if you're the one who's missing it, then it feels like you're missing out on a lot. So I did reassure him that I don't plan to make this like a regular thing, or at least not without including him sometimes, like maybe by inviting people over, like my other friend from LA did come over and hang out with us together. And then I also have one more person who reached out because she knows that I'm into thrifting and that I have done a lot of thrifting over the years, and she knows that I have some kind of knowledge and awareness of what stores are the best to get certain items, and she wanted to find some birthday items for her daughter, and she just sent me a text asking which thrift stores I recommended, and I said, why don't you come over and check out what I have, because I have like some inventory that I haven't listed to sell, because I sometimes do eBay on the side. And anyway, I just invited her to come over and pick through the stuff that I was thinking about donating anyway. And so she did, and she found some items for her daughter, and she said her daughter loves thrifted items and vintage, so her daughter was really happy with it. And then she hung out and sat in the living room with me and my husband, and we just talked about music and sound bath healing, because she is actually a sound bath healing practitioner, and she kind of like has her own little business and everything. And he had kind of been interested in collabing with her because he's a musician, he plays many different instruments, and you know, even though it would be hard for him to get out and stuff, it would be a really fun adventure for him to be able to, even if she brought her bowls to our house, for him to be able to play his guitar and do some artsy soundscapes along with her, like as a collab, even if it was just for our personal benefit and our personal enjoyment. It was just something that he really wanted to do, and I was hoping to facilitate like that connection between them. Anyway, regardless, it was a fun afternoon that we all hung out and talked, and he played some guitar for her, and she did enjoy that as well. So she was someone that I have met at a venue that's kind of this beautiful venue in Las Vegas out in the desert. And she had brought her sound bowls, and so we kind of had done some collabs where I taught yoga and then she did the sound healing, and we kind of combined our forces and kind of had a really cool group experience where people were really quite happy and satisfied with it. And she wanted to do some more of that, but then I went through a period where I wasn't feeling ready because I was having some health issues myself, and that's gotten better. But yeah, I don't know. I think she went on and found a different yoga teacher or a different person who does the yoga portion, which is fine and good, and I'm happy that they did. But anyway, I think we're still friends, and she's someone that I probably should get back to as well. Oh, and then one more person reached out to me, and this was my friend, another one from the law firm. She used to be an attorney at the law firm that I worked at years ago. I was the receptionist. Terrible at it. I was miserable at that job and never good at it. It really required like a person who is very social and very like extroverted, I think, and comfortable and like a people person. And I've never been that. If you haven't guessed, I'm an introvert AF. Anyway, she and I did connect and make friends. Actually, we met before we worked together at the law firm because she was a neighbor of my parents' house. She was like my parents' neighbor when I was living at my parents' house in my 20s. And I don't know, we started talking and I thought she was funny and fun and smart. And she moved across the country to upstate New York like 2 years ago or so. And so I don't hear from her that often, and I hadn't heard from her in a while, but she did text me as well, and she's another one that I need to get back to. So point being, the vibrational shift has been huge. I went from feeling completely friendless, other than, my husband and my sister, to like I have some gals in my life. I got my gals again. And they're reaching out and wanting to spend time and hang out. And I think the main reason for it is being on YouTube. It's being open and having that point of clarity and realizing what the problem was and realizing that I was feeling something and focusing on it and manifesting and putting those vibrations out there and being, sincere and talking to the universe and talking to YouTube. Those are my suggestions. And it's kind of, yes, going out into the world and joining activities and all of that as well can probably help. But I think that that's like making the assumption that you have to be physically active and physically putting yourself out there, literally in the world. And I think that there's a way of doing it where you're calling people in through spiritual action and just that point of clarity, and manifestation. It can happen. And maybe too, part of it was just that I was going through like my own issues and I wasn't open. And then, I was almost like in like hermit mode for a couple years because of that. My openness improved. So it's about kind of where you're able to be in terms of openness as well. I don't know. These are just my thoughts and my theories on it. And I'm trying to help you if you're here watching, trying to figure out how to have friends. Now, I would say also in the past, if I were in this type of situation, I would super overthink it. I would be super stressing and having anxiety and worrying about what I could bring and worrying about, will I say the wrong thing? Will they like me? What if they don't like me? What if they cast me out? What if I'm never invited again? What if? What if I say something stupid? What if I ruminate? Oh my gosh, the rumination. I would ruminate after almost every social activity for days and think about all the things I could have said better and all of the references I didn't catch but I caught later, because that always happens to me. Like somebody puts out a reference to a film or a book or a quote or something and I don't know what the F they're talking about, and it just goes over my head and I smile dumbly, or sometimes I even worse, like will fake laugh like I got it but I didn't. And then a few days later or something, the reference hits me and I'm like, oh, that's what they meant. Oh God, So just ruminating and feeling like an idiot and feeling like that's why they don't like me. That's why you have no friends, because you act like this, you say stupid things. This is more based on a sense that things are gonna improve and that I am gonna have friends again. And I don't want to make those same mistakes and delve into those patterns. I do want to have mystique, but I don't want to make those mistakes. So I don't want to overthink it. And I guess that's advice. If I'm trying to get to a point where I'm helping you, I'm saying, don't overthink it. Don't stress and have anxiety. Don't plan ahead what you're going to say, and don't let yourself ruminate too much on what happened. Just like go into the experience, open mind, open heart, open soul, with love and acceptance in your heart, and assume that those people need friendships too, because friendships is beneficial for them too. And you do have something to give and to offer. And just go there and be you and have as much fun as you can. Make it as light and fun as it can be, because that's what friendship is for. And just let the experience flow, and then, whatever happens, happens. And if they were to decide that you're not invited again, or they don't want to hang out with you again, so be it. You're comfortable on your own. If you're anything like me, you know how to be alone. You know how to be lonely. You know how to be friendless in the world and be okay with that. And So if you have like a solid core of faith, trust, and love in yourself, then it doesn't really matter what happens, but hopefully you can just be open to enjoying what does happen. Yeah, I do think that I owe a lot of this to the YouTube channel and that one video especially, but maybe some of the other videos too. Just having a YouTube channel maybe makes you a little more interesting to potential friends. Maybe they kind of think that's cool, or maybe they would be interested in learning how to have one for themselves, so they want to talk to someone who's been doing it for a while or stuff like that. Who knows? But if you are interested in starting a YouTube channel, I do highly recommend it for many reasons. I think that it's a worthwhile endeavor, even if it's just for you. So if you are interested in that, check out this video on how to have your own YouTube channel. And remember, friends or not, radical self-care will always be there for you. You can do it. And we'll see you in the next one.